In the book, you also talk about that you didn't like how the animals were treated. Let me read a portion from your book about food deprivation. You say SeaWorld says that its animals receive all of their food regardless of how they perform throughout the day. This is false. I know of whales whose food base usually ranged from 180 to 250 pounds per day, being restricted to as little as 59 pounds of food because such a form of, quote, behavior modification would sound barbarous to human audiences. The practice has been kept secret. It would not be good for businesses to say that the stars of the show were not given food in order to make them perform, but it has happened. I have been part of inflicting the policy myself at the request of a supervisor. What was going on? So they would punish the whales?
Exactly. So there's only two acceptable reasons you should withhold food from an animal. One is medical, and the second is if that animal just simply refuses to eat. You try multiple times and they won't eat, which is usually reflective of a medical condition. But when you withhold food just because the animals are choosing not to cooperate or they're doing the incorrect behavioral behavior you've asked for, that's just poor training, that's poor management. And whenever those decisions were made, a manager had to approve it. So it wasn't like a rogue trainer that just went off and said, I'm going to cut this animal's base today. You had to pick up a phone, call a manager and say, hey, listen, they were poor behaviorally. Can we grind their food? And they would say yes or no.
SeaWorld obviously is not pleased with your book and revealing this. And in fact, they take issue with many of the things that you say. Here is their rebuttal to your claims about food deprivation. They say our policy is simple. Killer whales receive an amount of food determined by our veterinarians based on their age, sex, breeding status, overall health, and activity level. Any departure from that amount of food requires a veterinarian's approval.
Right. And it's so easy to explain those things away. For example, if you have a whale that's been performing poorly, not cooperating, and say their base was 250 pounds, you can very easily the next day say, I've dropped, say it's Kasaka, I've dropped Kasaka's base from 250 pounds to 180 pounds because she seems a little overweight. So reading between the lines, it's she's not cooperating the way we want her to cooperate, so we're going to drop her food amount.
SeaWorld says that they don't believe your story, and they even say that you yourself contradicted the story that you now tell in your memoir by this tweet that was sent out about a year ago, February 11, 2014. Here is your tweet. You say any trainer that held back food from a whale was a poor trainer and using techniques not taught to us in the SeaWorld system.
Right.
How do you explain that contradiction?
Well, I don't believe it is a contradiction because it's exactly what I just explained, how, it is a poor trainer.
But that doesn't sound like you were blowing the whistle there. That sounds like you were defending the choice of all of the trainers.
What I was defending was that as a trainer, as a good trainer, you should not be withholding food from whales for behavioral reasons. Like I said, if it's medical or if it's because the whale simply refused to eat and you've tried multiple times, you've done all that you can do. And I was fortunate enough that throughout my career, I learned from some great trainers. But there are trainers in the system that are not very behaviorally strong, and they don't follow that system. So you'll see them withhold food from whales just because they're frustrated, because the whales didn't give them a good show, or just, like I said, they weren't cooperating for whatever reason. So is it the SeaWorld policy to withhold food from animals? I would say no, but it's done and it's approved by management. So if it's approved by management, they're aware of it and they approve it, is semantics.